One of the things that makes me really happy is that I felt very lonely for a long time when I started to like relentlessly go after the MAGA comedian podcast bros. You know, your Joe Rogans, of course, and your Andrew Schultz and your Tim Dillons, like all these guys, everybody in that Rogan sphere who sort of hopped on the Trump bandwagon and tried to ride the vibes. I've been going after them hard for a long time, and it was fucking lonely, bro. Because this was at a time they were peaking, their numbers were as high as they ever were, they seemed untouchable, they seemed like the cool kids, and everybody was fucking, you know, on board with their bullshit. But now it's been a while since their peak, and a lot of them have started to fall off a little bit, and you get the sense that there's genuinely a lot of criticism of these people now, right? Like, so shout out to these channels. There's a bunch of these channels like Comedy Enforcement and others that do what that channel does, and they're just like, they almost like exclusively cover the Rogan sphere and make fun of them. They make fun of the Tom Seguras and the Bert Kreischers and the fucking Andrew Schultz and the Joe Rogans. And so like, so that's cool. We like that. But now even others are getting in on it. So there's this channel here. Shout out to this guy, Kamal, Kahmal. Stumbled across this guy's channel recently. Now, look, him and I don't have perfect agreement on everything. I mean, this guy, he strikes me as like a sort of a center-left kind of guy. You know, he's not a fan of Hassan Piker, which is a shame because I feel like there's a lot of Hassan derangement syndrome out there. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of like hating him, and then when you try to dig into why he's hated, it's like, your reason is not that good to hate him. Like, why are you hating on him? But anyway, that aside, this guy did a great video here titled "Comedians Sold Us Out," where he's going to get into the Rogan sphere comedy podcast bros and basically explain how they all suck ass and how they ended up basically duping their entire audiences and making fools of themselves and supporting Trump. So let's watch.
Well, these leaders that they call leaders, this included comedians, comics. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we said you're a great father up top. First thing you say is, I've got great kids. You didn't take credit. And then your entire answer, I thought this was really cool. Your entire answer is about how great your kids are. That's a very cool thing.
Thank you. That's very nice. I think I like this interview. I think
If you are just waking up right now, NBC News now officially projecting that Donald Trump has won the presidency.
This group influenced the presidential election of 2024.
Yo, listen. Don't even say influence. We decided.
We were the turning point.
Just know he was not up until this pod.
True.
After the pod, he surges, what, 3 or 4%?
Yeah, it was a rap, dude.
Mm-hmm. Never went back down after that.
Images of MAGA supporters literally burning their red MAGA hats are going viral online. And all of this comes a day after Trump berated Republicans as, quote, stupid and foolish for wanting more information about the disgraced financier who died by suicide while in federal custody.
You know what I'm getting a lot of? You talked to him, you platformed him, as if he was at 0%. And then we talked to him and then he won the election. As if he had fucking no shot of winning. Hold on. People were like, this guy's a monster, he's not a human being. Then we humanize him. That's what he keeps saying.
Since all this drama. This is the thing, right? Like, they're refusing to take accountability for what their position actually was and what they believed and what they did. Like, bro, you guys were meat riding a geriatric, bloated, corrupt war criminal freak. Fucking own that shit. If these guys just came out and were like, hey, dog, my bad, I fucked up. I fell for the scam. Fell for it again award. Turns out Kamala would have been better. Trump sucked. Sorry. Like, that's all you got to do, bro. That's it. And then everybody be like, okay. Right? But they can't. It's like they're trying to weasel out of accountability and responsibility for their own actions and pretend like they weren't actually meat riding Trump. And even now, like you'll see it later on in this video, Schultz still doesn't feel bad about his softball interview with Trump. All right, let's get it. By the way, phenomenal editing in this piece. So shout out to Kamal. He's about to come on screen now.
Not a human being, then we humanize him. That's what he keeps saying.
Since all this drama with the Epstein files, I've noticed that a few of these podcaster comedians have been speaking out against their little buddy Donald Trump. And no one's played the situation worse than this guy.
Like, there'll be people that they'll DM me and be like, you see what your boy's doing? You voted for this. I'm like, I voted for none of this. He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for. Yeah. I want him to stop the wars. He's funding them. I want him to shrink spending, reduce the budget. He's increasing it. It's like everything that he said he's going to do except sending immigrants back.
And as soon as little Andy posted this genius revelation, to his surprise, his audience wasn't immediately kissing his ass, but instead was calling him out for taking 8 months to figure out the most obvious shit of all time. Saying things like,
not being able to see through Trump's blatant bullshit for 10 years is honestly baffling at this point.
You endorsed him, proudly. You wore the red hat, posted the memes, excused the cruelty, justified the lies. You stood by when others were silenced, targeted, dehumanized.
Shout out to his audience, man. God damn. They saw right through the shit, right? They're like, nah. You're not going to play this game, bro. You're not going to play this game. Because they didn't. Guys, it was all about vibes. They all liked the Trump vibes. They all liked that Trump was popular online. They wanted to ride the wave of Trumpism online. It was all about like, there's a parade. Let me hop in front of that parade and get some of that adoration. And that's bullshit. That's weaselly, chicken shit stuff that shows you don't have a moral core. You're not a leader, right? You'll just follow the crowd. And now you're dealing with the fucking consequences of it later on.
The dislikes and the negative comments, because Andrew sucks as much ass as he does, instead of acknowledging that he was possibly wrong about anything, he turns the camera on a few days later to say this.
What's up, everybody? Apparently we ruined America. We were trying to hold the person in power, President Trump, accountable for not fulfilling some of his promises, and that was foolish, man.
Nah, you're an idiot.
That
dude.
was
You're
a
bad
foolish
person.
thing to do. Once you vote for somebody, no matter what they do, even if it's the exact opposite of what they say they're going to do, you just ride that until the wheels fall off.
Yes. See, this is why Andrew is such a weaselly little bitch to me. No rational person is making the argument that once you vote for Trump, you can never criticize him and you can never change your mind. What people are saying is for you to be shocked by what Trump is doing and for you to say that this isn't what you voted for, it's bullshit. The signs were there for anybody who was paying any kind of attention, and this little speech just feels like a pathetic way to try and save face. Because instead of trying to take any sort of accountability, you're acting like a victim who was blindsided. Donald Trump was president before. You forget that? And he did 0 things in his first term that would make any sort of rational adult believe that he was capable of ending any wars or decreasing the deficit. When it comes to ending wars, if you really believe that Donald Trump has any sort of respect from any of these foreign leaders, you're delusional. As soon as it was announced that he won, Putin had Russian state TV playing pictures of Donald Trump's naked wife.
Nude photos of Melania Trump have been aired on Russia's most watched state TV channel during a program supposedly dedicated to celebrating Trump's election victory.
You think this is a guy who gives a fuck about what Donald Trump thinks or feels? Of course not. He has 0 respect for it. Also, Donald Trump is the guy in his first term who increased drone strikes by over 400%. So,
hold up. Kamal, did you get that talking point from me, bro? Did you get that? I'm the only person on this platform, this godforsaken hellscape that is YouTube, who mentions like every fucking show that Trump's first term, he increased drone strikes over 400%. Did you get... I'm not mad at you. I love that you're spreading that. I hope every YouTuber starts spreading that fact, because that fact was buried for so long. But did you get that from me? I hope he got that from me. If he got that from me, I am doing God's work.
Trump is the guy in his first term who increased drone strikes by over 400%. So again, what the fuck would make you think that this was the guy who was going to end a war, let alone 2? When he was president the first time, he increased the deficit more than almost any other president in American history. And that was after inheriting an economy that was pretty good. So yeah, when you turn the camera on and say, this isn't what I voted for, people are gonna make fun of you, as they should. You look stupid. If you had decided to take any accountability and was just like, you know what guys, clearly Trump is a liar, I should have known that, that's my bad, let's try to move forward. If you had said anything close to that, people wouldn't have cared as much. But because you're an insufferable asshole, you don't do that and instead decide to double down on why voting for Trump was so smart.
But I don't regret it at all. I don't even regret voting for him at all. Because what you've seen is all these Democrats that are starting to take up the issues that he was the one campaigning on.
I'm still too nice to these fucking people, aren't I, bro? I am still too nice to these fucking people. The nerve! The fucking nerve! I still don't regret it. Really? You don't regret it? Have you talked to the fucking 17 million people who just got kicked off of their health care? Have you talked to them? How about the 3 million people that just got kicked off their fucking food stamps? How about them? Have you talked to the people who are being shipped to a fucking concentration camp in El Salvador? Or how about Alligator Alcatraz? How about Guantanamo Bay? How about the no more due process, no more habeas corpus? Fucking ICE Gestapo thugs rounding people up outside of immigration hearings, even if the case was dismissed. You still don't regret it. Oh, because now the Democrats are... What are you talking... No. We're not going to play this game, bro. We're now... Oh, because the Democrats are bringing up the Epstein files. Therefore, like, okay, first of all, it took you till that to say, oh, there's a problem here with Trump, the Epstein file shit? Motherfucker, like I said, it was weeks before that they cut healthcare for 17 million people. It was Iran. He bombed Iran for no fucking reason. They're not attacking us. They're not even building a nuke. What? And also the Epstein shit, like people in the Democratic base have always cared about the Epstein shit. I always talked about the Epstein shit back in the day. You just don't listen to it when we talk about it. You don't acknowledge it when we talk about it. And the fact of the matter is, we've always been right that Trump is in the Epstein files. I'm getting off track here, but God damn it. To say after all this that you don't regret supporting Trump is fucking inexcusable. You are failing the most basic test of logic and humanity. If at this late date you can't say, you know what? Kamala would have been way better than this. Let me tell you something. If Kamala Harris was in office, we wouldn't have had the pediatric cancer research cuts that Elon illegally did. We wouldn't have had Meals on Wheels being cut. 17 million people wouldn't have lost their Medicaid. The CFPB wouldn't have been destroyed. FEMA wouldn't have been destroyed. 250,000 government workers wouldn't have been fired. 50% of the Social Security offices wouldn't have closed. We wouldn't have 7 plane crashes because they're way underfunded air traffic controllers and froze hiring right before a bunch of the plane crashes. We wouldn't have brain drain and, the destruction of our medical and scientific research in this country. So if you can't say at this late date, I was wrong for supporting Trump, you're fucking useless, bro. You're worse than useless. You're a fucking propagandist hack. You're fucking Rush Limbaugh in 2025.
Essentially, what he's done is pull the Democrat Party over to the center. So if they start talking about these issues, Ro Khanna, who we have on later on this podcast, and then we got Ro Khanna, who's pushing up this bill in Congress right now where he wants to release the entire unredacted Epstein files.
Yeah. He doesn't even realize how much of an out-of-touch privileged asshole he is when he talks like this. And for whichever one of his ethnic ball coddlers was that hit that ooh. Yeah, fuck you too. Trump hasn't even been president 9 months, and we're already at the point where we've sent hundreds of people to a crazy super prison in another country where I think it was up to 70 to 90% of them have no criminal history. We have ICE arresting people at their own immigration hearings. The tariffs, one of those 2 things that Donald Trump actually ran on, Walmart already said, yeah, we already increased prices in June to prepare for this bullshit. So shit's more expensive now for no fucking reason. And we fired hundreds of thousands of government employees, including people who are, in charge of telling us about floods in Texas. And you, the obnoxious, wealthy entertainer, say you don't regret your vote because now the Democrats are talking about releasing the Epstein files. And you wonder why people don't fucking like you. Now, for those of you guys who know me, you know I'm not one to spend money on things, lifetime guarantee. So if you get this wallet, you'll never have to buy a wallet again. So in my eyes, it's already. Now let's get back to the world's biggest clown. So because Andrew and his group of human laugh tracks started to feel the heat after their epiphany that the known liar might have lied, they had on the guys from the Pod Save America podcast. I guess these guys used to work with Obama back in the day and now they have a podcast because of course they do. But anyway, listen to what Andrew says here.
It was a bit of a media storm that happened after some criticisms that I had over Trump. And I had John, I was like, John, am I off on this? What is the best way to handle somebody that I voted for that is not living up to their promises? I'm criticizing them. And some responses are, well, yeah, you're a fucking idiot. And I was like, I don't know if that's the best way to build a coalition.
First off, bitch, what are you talking about build a coalition? You just said you don't even regret voting for the guy that's causing all this bullshit.
Yeah. If the voters hurting your feelings makes you not want to support the other candidate, then you're a bitch. You're a bitch. I wouldn't care if it was 2016 or 2020 and every single Bernie Sanders voter looked at me and said, Kyle, fuck you. You're a fucking asshole. I hate you. I hate your ugly face. Fuck your mother. I slept with your mother. I'm going to spit in your eye. Go fuck yourself. If I wouldn't go, oh, because of that, I now can't vote for the guy who wants to give everybody health care. Let me pick a different candidate who doesn't want to give people health care. There's no connection between how the voters make me feel, the base makes me feel, and my values as a person. The policies I prefer. This is such fucking Weasley chicken shit nonsense. Oh, you hurt my feelings, so now I must vote for fascism. What the fuck is wrong with you then, bro? What is wrong with you? You hurt my feelings, so let's build concentration camps. What the fuck? It shouldn't matter if every Democratic voter was an asshole to you. It shouldn't matter. Because the facts are the Democratic president would still be better than Trump and a Republican president.
Those losers sitting next to you, you don't pay us to kiss your ass and laugh at your dog shit jokes.
You gotta call it heckling. Call it heckling.
So when you say stupid bullshit, we're gonna call you out on it. That's how the internet works. Grow the fuck up. Also, I'm pretty sure that no one running for president or Congress is in your comment section trying to hurt your little feelings. So why would you let what these people are saying change how you decide to vote or who you decide to support? Does that make sense? This is what's wrong with these comedians in politics. They correlate things that they read on Twitter and in their comment sections with people who work in government. If you want to criticize the Democratic Party, there's plenty of things to choose from, but please don't use your comment section or some college kid on TikTok as a way to do it, because that's fucking stupid. I've seen that little creep Tony Hinchcliffe do a similar thing. In that bullshit Twitter video people call a comedy special.
I've never considered myself a very political guy. But about a month before all this happened, we found out from YouTube that there's new words that they want us to censor. New words that you have to bleep out. or you don't make money anymore.
What's the logic there? You think Joe Biden's like picking up the phone, calling Susan and being like, no comedians can use these 4 words ever again. Okay, Susan? Okay, like this is a priority. If you want to criticize Joe Biden, but use your head. You sound like a fucking idiot. And to this point,
I was like, I don't know if that's the best way to build a coalition. What do you think? What do you think about that, Sean?
No, that shit drives me nuts because I think, first of all, Trump lies a lot. He's always lied a lot. And it also assumes that every single person in America was supposed to be paying attention to like every single word that Donald Trump has ever said.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's possible for the average person to fall for these lies if they weren't paying any kind of attention. But we're not talking about the average person. We're talking about multimillionaires who have huge audiences and decided to make their podcast a political one. Nope.
Exactly right. This guy's killing it.
Nobody is putting a gun to their head, forcing them to sit down with politicians and billionaires. That's what they wanted to do. And to Andrew's original point, as much as I'd love to trash on the people that voted for this man and call them stupid, I do realize that if we're going to make it better, we're going to need a lot of the people who voted for Trump. And I'm torn on what I'm seeing right now because I do see Trump squirming, and I have to give credit to people like Andrew who voted for Trump but are now starting to see the light. These people have been holding Trump's feet to the fire about this Epstein shit, and it's really just becoming more and more obvious how corrupt he is.
To be fair, and this is where I think he's missing a little bit here, if you pay close attention, they really weren't holding Trump accountable. They always had some sort of cope, some sort of narrative that conveniently excuses Trump, which is why they were like screaming at Pam Bondi, for example, and saying, oh, Pam Bondi betrayed us, or Dan Bongino betrayed us, or Kash Patel betrayed us. So they would focus their anger over the Epstein files at not Trump in the administration. You see what I'm saying? Or they'd have, Tim Dillon's cope was like, Trump knows if he releases the Epstein files, they'll kill him. Or you had Alex Jones saying, the Democrats actually, they changed the Epstein files. They rigged the Epstein files. They put Trump's name in there and took out the damaging stuff on Democrats. So even though it looked like there was a bit of a revolution from within the party, there really wasn't. Because then, as we covered on this show, 3 polls came out, and in every poll, Trump went up 2 to 3 points with his support among the Republican base. And so, like, I saw the chatter too. I saw the noise too. There's certainly some people who were like, fuck this, I'm done, right? But overall, the trend wasn't as strong as it appeared online because you have to pay attention to the specifics of the criticism that they're delivering and how they're actually largely excusing Trump.
But also, I can't ignore the side of my brain that thinks, really, this is what made you see the light, Andrew? You really thought that the guy who was best friends with the most famous child sex trafficker of all time was not only definitely not on this Epstein list, but was also going to be the one to drain the swamp and expose all these corrupt billionaire pedophiles.
Yeah, that's probably the part that is the most infuriating to me, is that even guys like Tim Dillon, guys like Andrew Schultz, guys like Joe Rogan, guys like Alex Jones, they pretend, like Alex Jones said the other day, oh, with all my deep research, I haven't found anything weird with Trump and Epstein. And it's like, that's just a lie. That's just a lie. There is a tremendous amount of dirt. Michael Wolff, we have Epstein on tape. This came out like a week or 2 before the election. On audio tape, talking to Michael Wolff, where he says, I was Trump's best friend for a decade. That's what he said. We learned that Trump and Melania first had sex on Epstein's pedophile plane, the Lolita Express. We learned that Epstein and Trump both shared a girlfriend. We learned Trump would like to blackmail and cuck his friends and fuck their wives. This is what we learned. We learned Trump had a modeling agency in the 90s that was a front for human trafficking. Same with Jean-Luc Brunel. Same with Casablancas, the guy Casablancas. All these people, prolific, known pedophiles. Trump was running in their circles, having modeling agencies. There were stories from 2016 that came out. New York Daily News had one. Other places ran the articles. There were sex parties with underage models at Trump's hotels where Trump would partake. Okay? This is what we're talking about here. This is what he's been on the jet 7 times. I can go on and on of all the little factoids about it. Trump and Epstein were super close, right? All this stuff is out there. All this stuff is public record. All this stuff is easy to find. They just didn't want to see it. So now you have Alex Jones lying about it, and you have the others fucking covering their eyes and ears and go, la, 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 there's no problem. I don't see any problem. La, 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 la. They're just bullshitters. They are bullshitters. Like I said, all these MAGA comedian podcaster bros were just riding the vibes of Trumpism. They didn't want to see the negative shit because the negative shit blows up their pretty little narrative and exposes Trump not only for being the establishment and the deep state, he's the worst elements of the establishment and the deep state. Now who's hiding the Epstein files?
This guy?
By the way, your daughter, she's beautiful. Can I say this? A piece of ass. Yeah. She looks more voluptuous than ever.
She's actually always been very voluptuous.
The man who's been publicly accused of groping women with Jeffrey Epstein, the guy who bragged about going into women's locker rooms because he owns the pageant to be a creep and look at them when they're naked, that guy?
Well, I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
You thought that was going to be the guy who was going to bring down all the sick perverts, really? Like, what the fuck were you? What? Bro, what? But anyway, unfortunately for all of us, Andrew Schulz is not the only podcast comedian who's coping with this Trump and Epstein shit. Because Andrew and Tim Dillon both believe that it's very possible that the only reason Trump hasn't released all these files is not because he's on the list, but because the FBI or the CIA is threatening Trump's life.
I think Trump knows they'll kill him. I believe he knows that. I believe he knows that the people that killed all of those people would find a way to kill him if this came out.
They could have come up to him and be like, we missed on purpose, right? The guy who had the perfect shot on you from 100 meters away or whatever, we missed on purpose. You didn't look at a fucking sign. Looking at the sign got you closer. But we missed on purpose. And we won't the next time, unless you tell people to look the other way about this Epstein shit. To me, I would not be surprised at all if the CIA and the FBI actually are running the country.
Aren't these people really politically invested? Don't they pretend to be politically invested? Don't they know that Donald Trump is the one who appointed the head of the FBI and the head of the CIA? I'm confused. To their fans who are watching this, can you guys explain to me, do they really think Kash Patel, the guy who wrote a fucking children's book where Donald Trump was the hero, do they really think that guy's pulling Trump into a dark corner and threatening to kill him if he releases the Epstein files? Or do they think it's Tulsi Gabbard, the other loyalist who's nowhere near qualified to do what she's doing? The one that said that there was no intel that Iran was making a nuke, but then Trump said that there was, so then she changed her mind and said that there was. Is that the one who's strong-arming Trump? You think they're really calling the shot? Tim, do you believe that, or did somebody tell you to say that? Because I feel like somebody told you to say that.
I'm going to tell you about a dinner I had with a member of the administration. I'm going to tell you everything that I know.
J.D. Vance, by the way.
And I'm going to say the things that I do not know. And I am also not going to attest to the veracity, Google it, of the information. When Pam Bondi came out and said, I have 10,000 hours of evidence, what has been told to me is that is Epstein downloaded from the internet. It is not the tapes of powerful people in compromising positions.
I guess it was just Hub, dude. My bad. What were we thinking? We were just watching Hub, dude. He just had a hard drive of downloaded internet porn. That's very logical. There's no tapes of anyone powerful. That makes perfect sense. It's so interesting to me that these people that were always saying, the government's not trustworthy, the government's not trustworthy, now they're sitting down and having dinner with the most corrupt government I've seen in America and repeating their talking points to their audiences. Why do you guys think that that's happening? When I think of the Tim Dillon, the Andrew Schulz, the Theo, I think of people who are desperate for validation, attention, and money. And I can't say that I'm shocked that they're handling politics and power awfully. When I was younger, when I thought of a comedian, I thought of somebody whose job it was to criticize or to point out the aspects of our culture that were nonsensical and that we can improve on. That's what I felt like a good comedian's job was. I would think of somebody like a George Carlin, Bill Burr in his prime, they called out the bullshit in our culture. But these comedians are not only that bullshit, but they're literally the mouthpieces for some of the most disgusting people on this planet.
That's so true. That's so true. I don't want to play the whole thing here. You guys should go watch the video. Again, it's Kamal, Kahmal, and the title is Comedian Sold Us Out. This was just great, bro. This was great. And the chorus now of people who are criticizing these MAGA comedian podcasters, it's growing and it's growing and it's growing, and they are squirming. They don't know what to do. What Schulz has been doing to try to sort of make up for his immense failure with interviewing Trump and giving him a hot stone massage like Rogan did. Now he's every week he's libbing out, right? He keeps inviting on, he invited on the Pod Save America people, and then he invited on Ezra Klein, and clearly he's going, give me people who are left of center, and let me have a bunch of them on, so this is his way of sort of being yeah, I fucked up, but without actually saying, yeah, I fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Rogan is just a fucking mess, and he would tepidly criticize Trump every now and then, but always, goes back to his comfort zone, which is criticizing wokeness and the left as much as humanly possible. And it's a mix. It's a mixed bag. The one who's been really disappointing is Tim Dillon. who's still like, he's too close to the administration, so he ends up doing their propaganda and spewing their bullshit for them. And when the answer is right in front of your fucking face, Trump is in the fucking Epstein files. I'm convinced Trump was Epstein's #1 fucking client, and also he was in business with him human trafficking with his fucking fake modeling agency. But Tim Dillon, if this was any other politician, he would say that, but since he was riding the Trump waves, now he can't fucking say that, and he's covering for them. So, anyway, those assholes are a massive letdown, but everybody's onto it. Everybody's onto it, and that makes me happy. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.